experiencing joy involves obedience. Look at the last few verses, verse 13. It says, so, in light of all this, think clearly and exercise self-control. Look forward to the gracious salvation that will come to you when Jesus Christ is revealed to the world. So, you must live as God's obedient children. Don't slip back into your old ways of living to satisfy your own desires. You didn't know any better then, but now you must be holy in everything you do, just as God who chose you is holy. Experiencing joy involves obedience. Here's the disconnect for us. We often settle for this idea of happiness and the pursuit of happiness. And most often, the road to happiness is immediate gratification, the path of least resistance, the way of compromise. And sin almost always has a promise of short-term payoff. Scriptures are honest about this and call it the passing pleasures of sin. They're not naive, the scriptures. There's pleasure in it. But they're passing. And we have settled for this silly American thing called happiness when we're being called to this Jesus thing called joy. And because we're always just pursuing happiness, it's often the shortcut and the short sell and the sellout and the compromise and the easier way. And it's got that immediate payoff. And it's a way that seems right to man, but its end is death. And we find that those things didn't satisfy us. Didn't find anything true or real or lasting or of worth in that rebellion. You know what Satan has told you, and you know what culture preaches at us? That obeying Jesus is always going to be a bummer. You know what religion has tried to tell us? It's tried to tell us that the commandments of the Lord are burdensome. And if you obey Jesus, your life is always going to be a boring bummer. You know what the Bible says? 1 John chapter 5, the commandments of the Lord are not burdensome. In them we find freedom. And in obeying the Lord is the path of joy. Seldom is it the immediate gratification and the instant satisfaction. Seldom is it the path of least resistance. Never is it the way of compromise or the shortcut, but it is always the road of true joy in the Lord. That's why the prayer of the psalmist is, lead me in paths of righteousness for thy name's sake. In his presence is the fullness of joy.